Welcome, Shabbat Shalom. Being in community is healing and comforting. Whatever brought you here this evening, Baruch haba, welcome. May you feel comforted by the company in this room, in the prayers we will share this evening, and in the songs we sing to bring joy to our hearts. And welcome to all on YouTube. We feel your presence with us tonight, and we welcome the angels of peace. Shalom Aleichem, can be found on page 142 in your prayer book. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem leshalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon, mi melech, malchei hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni leshalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon, mi melech, malchei hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu. How good and how pleasant of an evening it is, and we are all here together. We've got a minion in the house and a minion online. I'm feeling very good. Let's turn to page 128 as we welcome one another. How good and how pleasant it is. Hine matov. Hine matov umanahim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov umanahim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov umanahim shevet achim gam yachad, hinei ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad, hinei ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad, hinei ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. And even as the light still streams through all of our beautiful stained glass windows, we do want to encourage Shabbat along, so we will light the candles. Jan, can I ask you? The blessing is found on page 120 in the prayer book. Amen. When I keep Shabbat, God watches over me. It is a sign forever between God and me. Page 129, Ki Eshmera Shabbat. Ki Eshmera Shabbat, Yishmereni. Ki Eshmera Shabbat, Yishmereni. Odi le'omead beino u'beini. Odi le'omead beino u'beini. Ki eshmera Shabbat, yishmereni. Ki eshmera Shabbat, yishmereni. Odi le'omead beino u'beini. Odi le'omead beino u'beini. Page 134 from Psalm 98, one of our Shabbat psalms. We sing praise to God with the guitar and melodious song. Zamru Ladonai Bechinor Bechol Zimra. Zamru Ladonai Bechinor, Bechinor, Bechol Zimra. Zamru Ladonai Bechinor, Bechinor, Bechol Zimra. Zamru l'Adonai Bechino Bechol Zimra Zamru l'Adonai Bechino Bechol Zimra. There is a psalm for every day of the week and a very special psalm for Shabbat. In this psalm, we marvel at the delicate work of God's creation. It is good to praise you with song for your unconditional love every day and your faithfulness each night. Tov lehodot l'Adonai, page 140. Mizmor shir l'yom ha'Shabbat, Tov lehodot l'Adonai, ולזמר לשמך העליון. טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך העליון. להגיד בבוקר חסדך ואמונתך בלילות. להגיד בבוקר חסדך ואמונתך בלילות. טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך העליון. טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך העליון. להגיד בבוקר חסדך ואמונתך בלילות. להגיד בבוקר חסדך ואמונתך בלילות. טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך העליון. טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך העליון. As we get closer to the setting sun, we honor the tradition of the Kabbalists of the 16th century with the singing of Lachado Di. It is a wedding song. The tradition of the Kabbalists were to run out into the fields facing west to the setting sun to greet Shekhinah coming down to dwell with us, within us for Shabbat. And we hold that special holiness and we greet Shekhinah as a bride with the setting sun. We rise at the final verse of Lachado Di when we say, Boi kala, come bride, we bow. We stand, we turn, and we bow to welcome our Shabbat bride. So the verses we will do are 1, 2, 8, and 9, which can be found on page 138 and 139. Lachado Di likrat kalai, yalalai, pnei Shabbat v'Kabbalat. kalai yalalai 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 Bnei Shabbat nekabela Shamor v'zachor v'dibor echad Hishmiyanu elcham yuchad Adonai echad u'shmo echad Shem u'tiferet v'litehila Lechad Dodi likrat kalai yalalai 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 Bnei Shabbat nekavena Lechad Dodi likrat kalai yalalai 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 Bnei Shabbat nekavena Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha Ki mekor haberacha Merosh mikedem nesucha Sof ma'aseh v'machshava tehila Lechad Dodi likrat kalai yalalai 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 Bnei Shabbat nekavena Lechad Dodi likrat kalai yalalai 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 Bnei Shabbat nekavena Verse 8 Yaminu smoti v'rotzi V'et Adonai taritzi Al yadi ben parzi V'nismecha v'nagila Lechad Dodi likrat kala Yalanai 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 Bnei Shabbat nekavela Lechad Dodi likrat kala Yalanai 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 Bnei Shabbat nekavela Please rise, here she comes Boi v'shalom ateret bala Gam b'simcha u'tzorona Toch emuneh am segula Boi chala Lechad Dodi likrat kalai yalalai 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 Bnei Shabbat nekavela Lechad Dodi likrat kalai yalalai 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 Bnei Shabbat nekavela Please remain standing as we recite Chatzi Kaddish. This is our transitional prayer from songs and songs of welcoming and praise to the central prayers, the Baruch Hu and the Shema come after this. Page 144. Yitkada v'yitkada shmei rabba Bi'alma divrach yurtei v'yamlich malchutei B'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'chayedecho bet Yisrael B'agala u'v'zman kariv v'yimeru Amen Yehi Shmei Rabba Mevorach Le'olam Le'olmei Olmaya Yitbarach V'yishtabach V'yitbarbar V'yitramam V'yitnasei V'yitadar V'yitalev V'yitalal Shemei B'kodesha Barichu Le'ela Mincho Bechata V'shirata Tushbachata V'nechemata Damiran B'yalma V'yimeru Amen. We face East Jerusalem for the Baruch Hu. Please echo the call to prayer with the answer. Baruch hu et Adonai Hamvorach. Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Ne'olam va'ed. You may be seated. These next few prayers accentuate the many aspects of God, the God that we praise on Shabbat and every day. With Ma'ariv Ravim, which can be found on page 148, we praise God, the creator of light and darkness, with the assurity that as we are sure as the sun is going down now, we know that it will rise again for a new day. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim v'chokhma poteach sheharim uvitfuna mishane itim ומחליף את הזמנים ומסדר את הכוכבים במשמרותיהם ברקיע כרצונו בורא יום ולילה פועל אור מפני חושך וחושך מפני אור וחושך מפני אור ומעביר יום ומביא לילה ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה אדוני צבאות שמו El Chai v'Kayam Tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed Baruch atah Adonai Hama'ariv Aravim. Ahavat Olam, page 150. In this prayer, we honor the love that God gives us just for being full of God light, for being one of God's people. It's unconditional and has nothing to do with our accomplishments, what we've done, good or bad that day. Just unconditional, everlasting love. Ahavat Olam Beit Yisrael Amecha Avta Amcha Avta Torah u'mitzvot Chokim u'mishpatim Otanu limadeta Al kein Adonai Eloheinu b'shochbeinu U'kumeinu nasiach b'chokecha V'nismach b'divrei Toratecha U'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed Ki chem chayenu ve'orech דעתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים, ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל. And we respond with that love as one people. Shema. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. We continue with the first and last paragraphs of the Shema, which can be found on page 154. We will chant these Hebrew verses and then read the English at the bottom of the page. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, הייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. You shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. Take to heart these instructions with which I charge you this day. Impress them upon your children. Recite them when you stay at home and when you are away, when you lie down and when you get up. Bind them as a sign on your hand, and let them serve as a symbol on your forehead. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Thus you shall remember to observe all my commandments and to be holy to your God. I am Adonai, your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am Adonai, your God. And I do not want to let this moment pass without at least acknowledging that in this week's Torah portion, the penultimate paragraph of the Shema, which is not in this book, is will be chanted tomorrow. It is without actually quoting it, I will just say it is a warning. Follow these commandments, or the rain will not fall, the sun will not shine, you will not have, bang, 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 all these terrible things will happen if you don't honor the commandments, honor creation. And I think all we need to do is look at our thermostats and look at what's happening in our political environment and know that, well, we've got some work to do because we're not quite there yet. So I just wanted to acknowledge that now because I'm not going to in the Devar. Adonai Elohechem Emet. And now we move on to our song of freedom, that we sang at the shores of the sea. If we could read together the top of page 157, and then we will go into our freedom song. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together. Page 158. Mi chamocha ba'ilim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, norat tehilot oseh pele, norat tehilot oseh pele, malechutecha ra'u v'anecha, bokei hayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam, V'ne'emar ki fada Adonai et Yaakov, u'yelo miad chazak mimenu, Baruch atah Adonai, Gai Yisrael. Turning the page, our next blessing is to one of God as our protector, our shield, one who watches over us in the night, so we can wake up the next morning to do tikkun olam and share in God's work of creation. So this version I'm going to do has an English folk song, which is a partner song that goes with it, with the slightly modified words. If you know it, you can hum along. When I lay me down to go to sleep, I pray the Lord my soul will keep, and as my soul wanders into the deep, shelter me, please, neath your wings. Let me walk around the block with you, lie under the night sky and howl at the moon. Let me have another chance to make a difference to someone next day when I wake. Ashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, v'ha'amideinu shomreinu l'chaim. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, v'takneinu be'etza tova milfanecha. When I lay me down to go to sleep, I pray the Lord my soul Shelter me, please, neath your wings. Shelter me, please, neath your wings. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. We turn to page 162 as we sing also from Torah, V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et Shabbat. The people of Israel have a covenant with God just to keep Shabbat, guard Shabbat. Shamar is the word for to guard. V'shameru b'nei Yisrael et Shabbat la'asot et Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam. Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael oti le'olam ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim v'et haaretz. Vayom hashvi shavat vayinavash. Vayom hashvi shavat vayinavash. As we turn the page, we enter into Amida, the standing prayer, our one-on-one with Hashem. This is your chance. It's Shabbat, so we don't plead, we don't petition God, give me this, give me that, pray for this, pray for that. But we do ask God for grace, really, to remember our ancestors, remember us as God cared for our ancestors, and we give thanks and we give praise and we exclaim wonder, and that is what we do on Shabbat. So I invite you to rise for the introductory prayer on page 164. We take 3 steps back so we can take 3 steps forward and bow as we are approaching the Holy One of Blessing, El Elyon, the one on high, as royalty. We will do the invocation and the first 3 blessings, and then I invite you to either read these blessings that continue on until page 181, or close the book and do what feels right for you in the moment. And when you are done, have a seat so I know you're done. Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi yagi tehilatecha my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, El Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zocher Hasdei Avot v'Imachot, U'mevii Geula lifnei Bneihem, Leman Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer u'Moshiach u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham v'Ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayei hakol atah Rav lehoshia, Morid hatal, Mechalkel chayim bechesed, Mechayei hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim v'rofech olim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato, Lishenei afar, Milchamocha ba'agevurot, Umido melach, Melech memit umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, Bene'eman atah lechayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kadoshim b'chol yom, hallelujah selah. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. Ose shalom imrama, uyase shalom aleinu, ve'akol Yisrael, ve'imru amen. Ose shalom imrama, uyase shalom aleinu, ve'akol Yisrael, ve'imru amen. Yase shalom, shalom aleinu. Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom. Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Veimaru. To all these words of blessing and praise spoken aloud and silently, we add one more, a prayer for healing for those who are in need of support in body or in spirit. I have a list of names, and it's certainly not complete. So after I read these lists, I will pass my hand around the room and invite you to add those who you feel could benefit by that extra boost. By saying that name aloud, it just gives it a little bit more wings. This week in our congregation, we are saying healing prayers for Helen Steger Avera, Edna Hutcherson, Jerome Komisar, Jennifer Nielsen, Charlie Scharfman, Chaya Sara bat Etka, Chana bat Joya, Zvi Hanft, Carolyn Troyanu, Robert Ray, Orly Chava bat Sarah, James Beardsley, Marilee Newman, Sarah Murray, Pesach Ben Liba Tzvi, Jay Krasner, Bill Tucker, Stephen Keese, and any whose names you wish to add as I pass my hand. And I invite any of you on YouTube at this moment who want to say the names out loud. We don't hear you here, but the one who needs to hear you will hear you. From Torah, we read, El na refan Allah, please God, heal her. Just a few words, but if you need the book, page 677, that way you don't have to remember. This is a Mizrahi tune. En arefan Allah, en arefan Allah, en arefan Allah, can put your books aside for the moment. It is not a requirement, a custom to do a Devar Torah on Friday nights, but it does help me to be in the moment more if I spend a few days preceding Shabbat to sit with the Parsha, and I feel unified with my ancestors. I feel the opportunity just to either reject or make sense, or in any case, wrestle with Torah. So this is a rambling that I put down on paper. This week's portion is Akev. Our ancestors' story is coming to a pinnacle after 40 years in the desert and an almost complete turnover from the generation of freed slaves to a generation born in the wilderness, seeking a home where they can establish themselves and set up a settled civilization according to God's laws. The children of Israel are being reminded of the conditions in which they will establish this new nation. Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 2 says, "Remember the long way that your God has made you travel in the wilderness these past 40 years, in order to test you by hardships, to learn what is in your hearts, whether you would keep the divine commandments or not." Learning to do right is a long and winding path. Our ancestors were short-sighted and complained endlessly. We still do that. They preferred, as they would say several times, they preferred a life in slavery and hardship without freedoms to the responsibility of recreating themselves as a nation and adhering to God's laws. And this parsha reminds them that Yud-He-Vav-He is always with them, that he will clear away the obstacles as they battle to take the promised land. They need only begin the act of entering the land, and all will be well. Then further in the Parsha, Moses discusses a spiritual danger that awaits the people once they enter the promised land, one which could potentially threaten their relationship with God. It's the danger of taking things for granted and not appreciating what God has done for them. It's one thing to be grateful to God when God's making manna rain down for you miraculously from heaven, as he did for 40 years in the desert. But what about when you enter the land and you have to work hard to farm your own grain and make your own bread, and God's role seems invisible? Maybe then you may be lured by the fallacy that my strength and the might of my hands has accumulated wealth for me. We are warned here in Akev against the danger of arrogance and the societal consequences of ignoring the plight of our neighbor and not seeing them as B'Tselem Elohim, as also made in God's image. In these passages, I see faint whispers of something we don't often speak about in Jewish circles these days. Something that I hear often from my Christian friends, but it is less common among contemporary American Jews. And that word is faith. To be sure, I have many Jewish friends that walk through life with a feeling that the life force within them is, in fact, God-light. The Kabbalists of Tzfat would run to the western fields at sunset, welcoming Shabbat, as I talked to you before, and the dwelling presence of God into the marriage covenant, a union of souls, divine and earthly. This is a deep expression of faith that we recall each week in the singing of Lachado Di. But we are also taught to wrestle with our teachings and wrestle with our God. That is the very definition of Yisrael, and in that struggle we run the risk of coming to the conclusion that our strength comes only from us, that there is no divine hand in our successes, and we lose sight of our own humility. But when we take the God light out of the equation, one can fall victim to the pedestal of our own making, looking down on our fellow human beings, separating ourselves from the plight of others and from the very planet. Deuteronomy 10:12 says, "And now, what does your God require of you? Ki im liyira et Adonai Elohecha, to revere God, lalechet b'chol derachav, to follow God in God's paths, ul ahava oto, to love God, v'la'avod et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha uv'chol nafshecha, and to serve God with all of your heart and all of your soul." We also learn a very similar lesson from this well-known verse in the book of the prophet Micah 6:8. "It is told to you, O man, what is good and what God seeks of you, only to do justice, to love kindness, and to walk humbly with the Lord your God." Do justice, love kindness, and walk humbly with your God. So it matters not whether you proclaim an absolute faith or you are teasing out the significance of a divine intervention in your life. The lesson still remains. Do not stop at justice. Simply being fair requires no human interaction or community. Do not stop at kindness, for without humility, there is no empathy or grace. Humility is required to separate ego from the work of repairing the world. And humility is the fuel required for our unending work for peace, respect for all life, and for the care of our world. May you find growth in the long journey of your life, God willing, as our ancestors did in Bamidbar, and may you be bolstered by the divine presence, the source of life, as you address the battles to come. We will continue our service, the closing blessings, with Aleinu on page 586. Please rise. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ועושה הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגבי מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפסו לתור, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום, והשבות אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים, בשמיים ממעל, והארץ מתחת, אין עוד, אין עוד. כתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד. You may be seated. Kaddish Tom. Today in Charlottesville, we are remembering the yardsides of Sylvia Bennett, Ilana Berger, Ruth Kaplan, Jacob Friedman, Genia Gordon, Stuart Herbst, Essie Kaufman, Ruth Oakes, Eleanor Scampole, Susan Schroer, Shirley Said, Beth Smith, Nathan Sobel, Harvey Weiss, Sadie Rubin, and any other names you wish to add. For all those who are in mourning and those who wish to join them, please rise for the Mourner's Kaddish, page 598. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'yalma divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chaye dekol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'yizman ka'ari v'imru, amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mevorach le'olam olmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shmei dekudsha b'richu. Le'ilah min kol birchata v'shirata. Tush b'chata v'nechamata. Da'amiran v'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehei shalama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom v'imrama. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru. Amen. Zichronam livracha. May their memories be for a blessing. You may be seated. Not many announcements. First, I want to thank Sydney for running the YouTube up there. Thanks, Sydney, every week. Appreciate it. Tomorrow at 10 a.m., please feel free to join the traditional egalitarian minyan for their Shabbat morning service. And then next Saturday after services at Carver Rec Center on August 12th, there will be a screening moving beyond August 12th together. There is some information about this film in these announcements here. It does say here that Rabbi Tom and his colleagues and friends from the Charlottesville Clergy Collective warmly invite you to explore these questions at a forum and discussion using the resources of a new book written by members of the collective, Standing Up to Hate, the Charlottesville Clergy Collective and the Lessons from August 12th. CCC members will share reflections on the book's theme and facilitate discussion. Rabbi Tom will be one of the speakers of the event. Learn more details and how to register in the newsletter. I also want to add about a week or two later, the author of #Charlottesville, Aniko, I'm going to mangle your name, I'm sorry, so I'm just going to say Aniko, has written a wonderful book about the events of August 11th and 12th. And she will be giving a talk here, a book talk. It's somewhere in the week or so after that. It will start showing up in our weekly announcements, probably next week. Are there any other announcements anyone wishes to make? All right. Then we will close with Adon Olam on page 625. And since I've heard that we have some nice singers in the room, we will do this Adon Olam to Summertime. Adon Olam, Hashem Alach, B'terem kol Yetzir Nivra, Leit Nasa V'chev Sokol, Azai Melech Shemo Nikra, Ve'acharei Kichot HaKol Levado Yimloch Norah, Ve'hu Haya Ve'hu Hoveh, Ve'hu Yeh Betifara, Ve'hu Echad Ve'ein Sheni, Lechem Shiloh Le'avira, Beli Reshit Beli Tachlit, Velo Haoz Ve'ham Yisrael, Ve'hu Eli Ve'chai Goali, Ve'tzochev li Ve'tzara, Ve'hu Nisi Umanos li, Menat Kosi Ve'yom Ekra, Beyado Avkid Ruchi, Be'et Ishan Ve'ahira, Shabbat Shalom. Join us for Kaddish and Motzi in Omensky Hall. Shabbat Shalom to all of you on YouTube.